is 2003. Whispers from the mountains of Papua New Guinea speak of a dark messiah. Over 6,000 people have flocked to his banner, ready to lay down their lives for the man they call the Black Jesus. But this is no Prince of Peace. From deep within his mountain stronghold, rumors emerge of dark practices. Rape, murder, and cannibalism. Those who try to take him down must first contend with his private army. Who is this man? Where does he come from? And can anyone break the spell of the cult of the Black Jesus? Hundreds of worshippers are gathering in the mountains of Papua New Guinea's Medan province for a sermon. But one among them is not who he seems to be. David Male is a pastor sent by his church with a mission. Discover the identity of the mysterious preacher who claims to be Male's ex-student and a graduate of his church's Bible college.
When I sat and observed that gathering, I looked around and saw more than 500 people. They set table and altar.
As the sermon start draws near, preparations are unlike any that Pastor Male has seen.
The flower girls were wearing traditional costumes. The grass skirts, the necklace, and even a little bit of face painting and headdresses.
Finally, the identity of the preacher is revealed. It's someone Pastor Male never expected to see again. An ex-student, but definitely no graduate of his school. Stephen Nanjaman Tari.
Stephen Tari was 32 years of age when we accepted him to become a student in Amron Evangelist Training. He doesn't concentrate on what the discussions and what the activities or even some of the explanation. He has lots of questions to ask, and he can sometimes convince the rest of the class to agree, and he usually creates debate and argument in the class. Stephen Tari has faith in God. He believes in that. But at the back of his mind, he doesn't really agree. That usually motivates him to raise questions.
Amron Bible College provides a Christian education. Graduates become Lutheran pastors. But Stephen Tari never made it that far.
After his first term with us in Amron Evangelist Training, he went to Leh, stayed with his friends, and He stole some belongings from his family. He came back and the family told us that he has to be sent back to Leh, but he never returned. He did not come back to the school to continue his study.
Stephen Tari claims to be teaching Christianity that he has learned from Amron Bible College. But Pastor Male knows the truth.
It was really embarrassing to me to hear my student preaching what I did not teach him. As a Christian, we usually believe that every need a Christian, God usually provides. But according to his teaching, he tries to explain that there would be a time when we will receive all this somewhere else.
Stephen Tari is using Amron Bible College's name to solicit donations from his followers. He has to be stopped.
Me and my colleagues went back to Medan. We compiled a report. The ward councillor arranged the police and the law enforcing people, and then they made the first arrest to Stephen.
Police moved to arrest Stephen Tari for falsely soliciting property. And with 500 loyal followers to deal with, police are taking no chances. They're going in with force. Stephen Tari has been arrested in an overwhelming show of force. Pastor Male thinks the case is closed. In fact, he's just sown the seeds of something much worse. A team of heavily armed police move into the mountains of Metepi, taking their target completely by surprise. Charged with spreading misleading statements, falsely soliciting property from villagers, and resisting arrest, Stephen Nanjaman Tari is held at Medan's Beyond Prison. As police build a case against him, they realize Tari has been calling himself a pastor and soliciting donations from villagers for years.
He was using the Bible verse to preach. They told them that he was the bridge to heaven. They believed in him, so they followed him.
But Tari is a fraud. Witness accounts suggest he wasn't building a church, but a Papua New Guinean phenomenon known as a cargo cult.
In Papua New Guinea, I have to say that a cargo cult is one of the very common things, and where a prophet arises from nowhere.
Papua New Guinean cargo cults trace their beginnings to the Second World War, when large cargo shipments arrived on Allied warships for the embattled island.
So these people, they have never seen such huge amounts of cargo coming in at one time. So they believe that those cargoes were from the ancestors who passed on, and they changed and become white people and came back. That was the belief. Due to the ignorance and illiteracy during this time.
When the war ended, cults that claimed they could replicate cargo deliveries began.
Most of the cult group movement comes in an area where many people wanted to get something in their life. You can see the charismatic leader. They target the group of people who are quite innocent and they don't know what they're doing. When you live in a poverty, we are looking for new things. We are looking for something better. We want to live better. When you're in a depression and there comes a charismatic leader, he comes and says, hello, I'm here. I'm going to give you a new life. When you talk about charismatic leader, they're very intelligent people, they're educated people, they know the knowledge about the whole world, or they might be having some mental health issues with them.
Intelligence, charisma, education, and a village looking for a change of faith. Stephen Tari had them all. But now incarcerated in Medan's Beyond prison, Stephen Tari needs a miracle to get his freedom back.
Stephen, when he was first entered in Beyond, he was a slim, not look aggressive guy. From my opinion, this type of guy, he cannot make this type of offense or get people to follow him. He's quiet, he doesn't talk too much. He just listened when we asked him questions and he replied to us. When we talked to him about his ministry, he just kept on saying that that is what I knew. I will not stop from doing this ministry. As long as I live here or stay here, I will still carry on with this and get the followers to follow me.
Stephen Tari spends months in prison awaiting trial. On the day of his first appearance in court, Stephen Nanjaman Tari is transported from prison to courthouse. On the way, the police vehicle stops at a pothole. Police scour the area, but to no avail. Stephen Nanjaman Tari has disappeared. Police have sent a team to arrest Stephen Nanjamantari, a cult leader who has been soliciting donations from his followers while pretending to be a graduate of a local Bible college. But on his way to the Medan National Court, Tari manages to escape.
After he escaped, notice went out to the public saying that, oh, this guy is an escapee, so if you see him anywhere, please report to the nearest police station or call the prison services and let us know.
But Stephen Tari has other plans. He flees deeper into the mountains of Gaul. There, he sets up a new commune for his cult, a place he christens Galilee. There, he twists the story of his escape into a testament of supernatural powers.
The story says that he escaped through a window, which is a small window which a person cannot go through. It was unbelievable. The guards were baffled because they never saw him go. That remains a mystery to us to this day.
As the story spreads, Stephen Tari starts sowing the seeds of more legends, turning himself into an almost messianic figure.
This is from sources that I spoke to, who gave me information, not from what Stephen Tari told them. He preached and talked to the people. Somewhere after lunch, the people were hungry, so they asked for food. He got up and he told them, all of you must have faith in me and have faith in yourselves. So I will pray and then food will be delivered. He prayed with all the people. And then a black cloud moved across to where the gathering was. And then it stayed there. And out of the black cloud, food was delivered. All sorts of food that you can imagine that you wanted to eat. The people ate the food. When they were through the meal, he said, whatever you have eaten and whatever is left, please don't take them away. Just put them back in the bowls and the dishes and all those. And I will pray, and the person who delivered those food will come back and pick it up from us. And the cloud came back again, and all the food disappeared with the cloud. So that was how he had the name Black Jesus.
As Stephen Tari cultivates the myths surrounding him, he surrounds himself with spectacle and ceremony to dazzle his followers.
He goes for very young girls, school girls, who become his flower girls. And they entertain him, they wash him, dress him, and all that.
We got a lot of flower girls. They started singing from 7 to 3 in the morning, and they put flowers and they go to church on Sundays.
Stephen Tari's impressive displays gain him more fanatical followers who swear to keep him safe.
There were a lot of men and women who supported Stephen Tari, and he went further into the very remote terrains where it was very rugged to access. Any police member could easily go and catch him, because they were local knowledge and they had many areas that they had to go to.
Twisted stories, dazzling rituals. Stephen Tari is no longer a village preacher, but the Black Jesus, leader of a cult of thousands. The Black Jesus persona gives him power over his followers. Power that is used for horrifying purposes.
He fooled the parents, the brothers, the uncles and aunties of the flower girls. They were teenagers below the age of 16. What he told them was that to get to heaven, he had to have sexual intercourse with them to open the gates to heaven.
Well, Stephen Tari was living in one of his houses built by the village people. These girls were in a compound, so that he has to invite this one by one into his room. And he was using Bible verse to force them and have sexual intercourse with them, one by one.
He actually got the blood out of the veins of the girls, and then he said prayers and drank the blood as an offering.
The depth of depravity and the size of the cult make the cult of the Black Jesus impossible to hide. By June 2006, police are on a mission to end it once and for all.
Operation Black Rose is all about capturing the prime suspect of organizing cult activities, Mr. Stephen Tari. We were just following on instructions that was given to us to how to go about and then how to apprehend the prime suspect. There was 3 groups with 3 field commanders. We all communicate to each other by using police radio, and then we surrounded the whole area where Stephen Tari was.
But the Black Jesus has surrounded himself with loyal followers who won't give up their leader without a fight. Fortunately, fanaticism is no match for firepower.
Upon seeing us, he jumped down to the ground and then he ran by foot into the nearby bushes. So it was very difficult for us to capture him.
Operation Black Rose fails to return the Black Jesus to jail. Instead, the police settle for breaking his power base.
We surrounded the whole area. That were involved with all sorts of young ladies between the age of 8 to 16, 17 years old, plus the East followers. They all were arrested and charged. They were all up here in court, and then maybe the magistrate gave them some warnings, and they must not follow Stephen Tari again.
With his followers in police custody, the activities of the Black Jesus are revealed to the Papua New Guinean public, yet the man himself has disappeared. In the mountains of Medan province, police are hunting a dangerous cult leader known as the Black Jesus. Stephen Nanjaman Tari has been accused of rape, murder, and cannibalism. With his cult members delaying the police strike force, the Black Jesus escapes to continue building his cult. But by now, word of his dark activities has spread.
It caused an uproar throughout the country. Papua New Guinea is a Christian country, and for us law enforcement, it didn't come down well, and we need to put a stop to his practices.
It was causing a lot of alarm to the community. A lot of the community and also the Medan province and the country as a whole, I would say, heard about it, and they were really wanting that the police or law would actually catch up with him and deal him properly.
So when the Black Jesus stops running and starts preaching, he doesn't get a warm reception.
The community up at his home village were not happy with what he was doing. And they mobilized there and fought him and beat him. People got frustrated for what he had done to their daughters. So he was badly beaten.
But the beating is just the start. Villagers are determined to show that the Black Jesus is just a man, not a Messiah. So an impromptu procession is organized.
Police put him in front of the bumpers of their 10-seaters, and they tied him up with rope, paraded him in Mereng town, and then brought him back up to Leon.
On March 20th, 2007, Stephen Tari was formally handed over to Medan's Beyond prison.
Okay, when he first came in, he was separated from the rest of the prison population because of threats from outside. Through his activities outside, he molested a lot of young girls from out in the villages. So there were threats on his life. They have relatives serving time in prison.
The Black Jesus was charged with 6 counts of aggravated rape, 5 of them with his underage flower girls.
I was asking him about his activities outside, like what he was doing and how he convinced people to follow him. And he was telling me that comparing the Bible, the New Testament and the Old Testament, and how the Word of God came about. It's like, is Jesus or something like that.
As the Black Jesus gains the trust of his custodians, the Medan court finally passes sentence. Out of the 6 rape cases tried, Stephen Tari is proven guilty of 4. Allegations of murder, however, were never tried.
One of the girl's sister was killed by Black Jesus, so we asked his sister, but she was in hiding. So they were not cooperating with the police to give us a statement to charge him on that. So that's why these 2 murder cases were not investigated, because we got no statements.
Stephen Tari also avoided a total sentence of 52 years. Instead, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison with 15 years, 5 months, and 2 weeks to be served in custody.
The authorities classified him as not a risk to other prisoners. And then they move him to the main prison population.
In prison, we categorize detainees. If you are a person with a disability, so you have to be treated differently. If you are a mentally retarded person, means we know how to treat you. And we also have a separate confinement for you. But for prisoner like Stephen Tari, a religious cult leader, in our books we had nothing. It is the first type of a prisoner of that kind, so we didn't know how to treat him because he was not mentally retarded.
At first, Stephen Tari seemed to be serving his sentence well.
He followed instructions and he obeyed the prison rules. It just interacts well, mixed freely with other prisoners, and involved in rehabilitation activities.
He was very cooperative. He was leading little prayer groups in the cells, outing the word of God.
But it wasn't long before his dark influence started to spread.
Stephen Tari is a talkative fellow. He used to sit down with us, the prisoners sometimes, and tell story about his ministry or the gods or what he was believing in. I don't think something wrong with it. I see him as a normal guy. And now Nangimon was in cell in our dormitory. I stayed with Nangimon. My bed and Nangimon's bed is neighbors, very close. What is sometimes he talk about is about the God. He said, the God belongs to Papua New Guinea and not belongs to white. The white came in Papua New Guinea and lied to us. He wanted some of us to leave the denominations which recently we are in, and we must go and join his ministry. And when Nangimon came and tell his story, I am a bit convinced and a bit intent. So I could say that if I am at freedom, I maybe can try to go to Nangimon's ministry and find out what is going on.
Stephen Nanjamantari, the cult leader known as the Black Jesus, is finally behind bars, serving a 20-year prison sentence for 4 counts of rape. Having seen him escape once, authorities are taking no chances. They've incarcerated him in a maximum security prison. By the time he gets out, his name and his cult will be forgotten. At least that's the plan.
The last thing I could remember is that he said, I don't want to stay in prison. I need to adjudicate my cultural ministry to make sure that the ministry must go all around this country. And white men must know that God is ours, not belongs to them.
On March 21st, 2013, after barely 30 months in jail, Stephen Nanjamantari escapes again in what is one of Papua New Guinea's largest prison breaks.
It was a mass escape. After investigation, we found out that there was a bolt cutter left after the construction work and all those in the prison. So they used the bolt cutter to cut up a hole in the side of the fence.
It was somebody's idea or plan to cut that wire for him to escape.
Steven and I and some other prisoners, we all together escaped together. We were out in the bush, we split. That's last time I met him.
Stephen Tari is now running from 4 counts of rape and 15 years in jail. The Black Jesus is now, once again, at large.
Rumors that he went back to his original place where he started his ministry.
The Papua New Guinea Police Constabulary embarks on a massive manhunt for the dangerous Dark Prophet. Somehow, he manages to contact a small group of his followers. With their help, he slips away.
He was at large. He went back to Gal. And these village people up in the village, they were very concerned. Concerned again, he was starting his cult back in the village.
It was a big alarming news to the whole of Madang as a province and also to the other provinces.
Years ago, Stephen Tari was welcomed as a prophet. But knowing that he rapes, maybe even murders his followers, local villagers are out of goodwill. A group of villagers arm themselves, then hunt down Stephen Tari and his disciples.
They chased him into the jungle, down to the river, up the hill and mountains. I recall on August 31, 2013, we came here, reported at the police station at 3 a.m. in the morning.
I was at the police station and these village people approached me and they said, Black Jesus is dead. So we have to get up there and then bring the body down to the morgue.
They asked me if I could accompany them to the place where they killed Stephen Tari there to identify the body and also confirm the death and the injuries which he sustained. And everybody wanted to know what was going on and what was the latest about him, whether he was actually really dead or whether he was still alive. It was a tiring walk. The terrain was that high and steep. Some of the parts were slippery, rocky, and it took us a fair bit of strength going up.
As we reached the site of the Gal village, the informant that the leaders, he informed us that he has been killed and they buried him under the foot of the hill.
The area there was a little bit cleared that you could work out that there was actually something being buried there. With the wind blowing to and fro, you can actually smell the aroma of blood mixed with some of the dead. We just removed the dead, and to our amazement, it wasn't buried that far deep inside. It was around, I would say, less than a meter, I would say 90 centimeters in. He was in a sitting position, and he was placed inside the hole. The body wasn't that decomposed, but from the state he was in, I would say that it was chopped up pretty badly. The total of approximated stab wounds that he received would be around 40.
Based on the body, Dr. Gawi was able to reconstruct the last moments of Stephen Tari's life.
He had multiple bush knife wounds. The face was covered in bruises. There was multiple bush knife wounds all over his body. The upper limbs, more than 5 bush knife wounds. The lower limbs was more than 5 also. The left knee was partially amputated. 8 Bushnell wounds to the back. There was 4 Bushnell wounds across the chest wall. The abdomen was slit open with the guts coming out. I found that he was also castrated.
It's very scary. I haven't been witnessing that kind of death in my life.
From the rumors that they had was that they tied the bush rope onto his neck to pull him up the stream and up the hill to where he was buried. Looking at the injuries where the cult leader sustained, from my opinion, I would say that it was an act of rage and also an act of revenge. He actually suffered the same as his victims suffered.
He spoiled so many girls, and he diverted the minds of the normal persons into different, different world.
I think he deserved to have proper justice. I don't think he deserved to die that way.
If he had not escaped, he will not die. The villagers outside would have not killed him. And I think he will change.
I believe, though it's wrong, but he deserves the fate that he's got into by losing his own life at the hands of his own people.
To this day, they have no court case, whatever. No one's laid a complaint, so the poor guy just passed on. He's gone, but his memory lives on.
I don't think they have learned a lesson. His followers are trying to regroup themselves again.